It is no coincidence that I am sharing this podcast with you just before the change of year, because just as the water shows us the flow of life, its depths, its storms, and its calm, we are also at the threshold of an old to a new year, and maybe even much more. It is a time when the world is changing, in which we can look back on what was and can let go of what is no longer useful to us. In many of my interviews, we have looked for inner peace, emotional tranquility, and fineness. Qualities that we not only carry within us, but also look for in the world around us. But just as the water sometimes gently and sometimes clearly flows, but even if it can be destructive and wild, we carry this energy in us. We often feel external circumstances, such as stress and conflicts out there in the world, or even the weather as a disturbance of our inner balance. But what if these external disturbances, nothing but mirrors of our own inner unrest? In one of my Ayahuasca ceremonies, the plant, or the being that speaks through her, it reminds me of a story told to me by a shaman in Peru. He spoke of a former role of the shamans who were also called when the weather was out of control. They then worked to calm the unrest in the people and the beings around them, because they, according to his understanding, through unconscious action, the outer storms and the wild water have called out. Also, our inner storms, which sometimes arise due to a lack of self-esteem and lack of harmony, often look outward and influence our life, sometimes subtle, sometimes overwhelming. In this episode, I share with you a special excerpt from my ayahuasca ceremony, in which I was reminded of these connections. It was created shortly after a ceremony, when I reflected with the plant and is content-wise largely unprocessed. The plant urges us to see water not only as a resource, but also as a mirror. It invites us to think about our own inner balance, to think about our own weight, and about which messages the water and the life in it can give us. And she gave me the same topic, the topic of water, that the water shows us all, that the water is our mirror, that this circulation now, where we lay the water through and hunt and temper, that it seems to be subject to us, serves us, that it cleans us, to clean the virus water, to clean the virus. But that the water can cleanse itself without our consent, that it has power and energy, that it can be wild, so that it reminds us of our fears, that it can be deep as the ocean and has foreign worlds, which seem to be foreign to us, but also mirror our foreign worlds that we have not seen, and that it can be equilibrating, where you can sail beautifully, where we feel good on our skin, or where we can hardly bear the storms anymore. These emotional storms that the water is showing us, or this force and mass and power. It shows us when it takes away land masses and whole cities, and shows us our addiction, our greed, that we don't stop for anything, and that when the water calms down and is calm again, and we look in again, that we can see it again as a mirror of ourselves. But we recognize in the mirror that we have many facets. So not only many attachments that we see in the mirror, but many facets that the water shows us. And if we accept all these facets and don't reject them, the water will be calmer again. If we don't reject ourselves anymore, the water will be calmer again. It shows us all our fears, our powers, our peace, our thirst, our dryness, to warm up, to cleanse, and the depths of our being, and the heights when the water comes into being, the lightness, and the cycle of life. This theme may I use in the podcast, together with the summary of yes, as a reminder of what was and what will come, and that the plant simply shows our diversity, the diversity as the water is, sometimes poisoned, sometimes healing, sometimes pure, sometimes dirty, sometimes deep, sometimes high, like the highest layers of the clouds, and sometimes also a gentle morning fog that calms us, accepting all that it is. Let me tell you that all of the things that we talk about are a part of us, and we don't need any prejudices. It's just a part of us. Yeah.